January the 7th at 7 p.m. 2015, and we'll call the work session to order. Have number one on the agenda to say the community mediation, Prince George's County, Leslie Nielsen. Mr. Nielsen here. So we'll pass that, and if he comes in a little later, we'll give him an opportunity to speak. Number two is resolution number 15-14, a resolution to establish a healthy living program in the City of Laurel. This was passed on December the 8th of 2014. Ms. Haig will speak to the program. Ms. Haig?
Good evening, everyone. On January 2013, the Maryland Municipal League entered into a memorandum of understanding with the Institute for Public Health Innovation to work collaboratively on the Heal Cities and Town campaign. The City of Laurel decided to join that campaign to help influence the health of its residents. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Any questions? Gary?
None here. I wholeheartedly approve of this.
Okay. Mr. Les?
Fine, Mr. President.
Ms. Nicholas?
I'm fine with it. For item number 2, we were all going to be added as co-sponsors.
It's fine if you wish.
I think that was brought up at the last.
No?
I think you brought that up.
Yes, that was brought up at the last meeting, and the document will be reprinted to reflect that change.
Thank you.
Mr. Small?
Ms. Haig, what, is there any rollout of the program? Just, is this designed to be an in-house program, or is it designed to be something that reaches out into the community?
Reaches out into the community and in-house.
So it's to encourage the community for healthy living, healthy eating, etc. So will there be a newsletter, something on our city web page, something on our TV station, or all of the above?
This is the first of the rollout. You all had to approve it. So the rest will follow. And yes, I mean, there's a whole, this is part of the Maryland Municipal League program. So I want to do as much as possible. As you're well aware, we've been doing a lot already, and Pat has done even more since she's taken that over. It's all going to take some money as well, but we do want to get the community involved. In fact, my office today, we were talking about a couple of different programs we could try to institute. And if you remember, when you all passed this at the last meeting, one of the things that I thought would be beneficial is that when you guys run your 5 miles, you invite the community out to be involved in that.
With defibrillators, right?
Which 5 miles? In what increment?
But what we're going to attempt to do is to, there's actually consultants and others that we can talk to. They're at Maryland Municipal League conferences and other events, and not reinvent the wheel, but do what we're doing, try to do it better, expand on it, as well as look and see what other programs are going on. See what other program. I hear you back there. See what other programs we can take and kind of run with and get the community involved. But to answer your question in short, yes, we want our employees to take part, but more importantly, we want to get the community engaged.
Definitely. And I know we have an excellent program here, and that's one of the reasons I asked, because I think it deserves to be shared with the community. So, thank you.
And maybe we can even hook it up with the garden that we run as well, as a subset of that. The community garden.
It is,
Okay.
that's all part of it.
All right, any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Haig.
Well,
Move on to item number 3. This is an ordinance number 1810, text amendment number 234, an ordinance to amend chapter 20, land development and subdivision, article 1, zoning, subdivision 9, exceptions and supplements to the zoning regulations of the City of Laurel Code, providing an effective date. Mr. Brock.
Yes, Mr. President. Ordinance number 1810 is a text amendment to the Land Development Code, which would permit houses of worship in an ICS zone as a special exception only. This was brought to you before. There was input from the public and input from council, and staff got together and prepared an amendment that would be incorporated, should you choose, into text amendment 234, which would make a church that is located in an existing building on a lot 1 acre or greater in size could be approved as a special exception under the following conditions. The applicant shall satisfactorily document all off-street parking is sufficient to comply with parking and loading facility regulations of the code. If a reduction in the required parking is requested, a parking study shall be required to demonstrate that adequate parking will be provided. Additionally, the applicant shall satisfactorily document by a traffic study traffic impacts because of the increased intensity in land use will be mitigated. And finally, it will be an adaptive reuse of an existing building. An adaptive reuse shall mean at least 50% of the existing building will be used.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Smalls.
I have no questions, Mr. President.
Okay. Ms. Nicholas? Mr. Liz?
No questions.
Ms. Curry?
No questions.
Okay, this is the, going to be at the first public hearing with the second hearing scheduled for the meeting of, wait a minute. This is for introduction and second public hearing and possible action scheduled for the mayor and city council meeting on Monday, January the 12th at 7 p.m. Is that correct?
Mr. President, the legislation was introduced
Right.
at our December 8th meeting,
And
so
this-
it is our second public hearing
It
and
is.
possible action.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, thank you all very much for coming tonight, and we appreciate it and look forward to seeing you on the 12th. You're welcome to stay. Moving on to item number 4, consideration of a tax credit application for Olive on Main Street. Ms. Saylor? Or Mr. Brock, Mr. Manzi, all of you?
No, Michelle should. Yeah, go.
The owners of the property of 504, 506 Main Street, currently operating the Olive on Main restaurant, have applied for the tax credit application in accordance with the city code, section 16. So I provided the fiscal impact for you. A 60% tax credit calculates to $2,034.40. The budget currently provides for that. This year, this tax credit would actually be applied to the subsequent tax years. So anything awarded during FY15 would start in FY16.
Okay,
Mr. Brock provided the information regarding the business model and all the other requirements.
okay, thank you. Mr. Smalls?
I have no questions regarding this application, Mr. President.
Ms. Query?
Just a comment, I'm glad they're utilizing your office and working with Mr. Brock too. It's good to see. I'd like to see them continue at the current location.
They've also received the Main Street relocation grant and are eligible as well for the commercial improvement grant.
Are they gonna be utilizing
Mr.
the
Lenz.
front? I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. They're gonna be utilizing that for the front of the building?
The inside improvements.
The inside
We're
improvements?
eligible for the commercial improvement program.
Okay. Wonderful, thank you.
Mr. Les.
Just so everybody understands, is this a one-year credit or how many years?
3 years.
Okay. Since this is commercial property, is the assessment gonna go up? Can it go up? It's commercial property.
It will be based on the assessment for that year at that time, 60% of those.
Whatever
tax
the,
revenues.
whatever the tax credit is, just so everybody
Correct,
understands.
you're correct. The $2,034.40 is based on the assessments that are listed to begin July 1st of 2015. The assessments have already been updated on SDAT.
Right. Okay, and the, and the tax credit is the real estate tax credit. It doesn't relate to personal property inside the building, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Ms. Nicholas.
No question.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Saylor. So we're all set to go for this? All right. We'll go to number 6. Oh, no, excuse me, number 5. This is a discussion on the reconsideration of resolution number 1-14, a resolution to extend the effective date of ordinance number 1769 and ordinance amending Chapter 7 Garbage, Trash, and Garbage Receptacles for the Code of the City of Laurel to amend Section 7-55 to extend the compliance date for the existing dumpsters and provide that the Director of Community Planning and Business Services shall administratively approve a site plan amendment for the refuge enclosure and provide for a waiver of the development review fees and building permit fees for the refuge enclosures, and amending Section 7-56 requiring compliance with Section 20-2.2 plans, plats, and information to accompany applications for permits of the United Land Development Code, providing an effective date.
That's me, I guess. What we're trying to do here is to bring back up onto the table the resolution that the council passed about 4 months ago, which extended the time for compliance with the law to January 1st. And the idea is the council voted for it 5-0, so we would have one council person who voted in the affirmative request reconsideration of that resolution. We would then hopefully get the vote of 3 members of council to reconsider. That would bring that back to the table, and then you would just table it indefinitely so that we could do one of 2 things. First of all, the idea is we'd like to get a group together to study this issue a little further. We've run into a number of issues with both the Planning Commission in their review of and their ideas of what the purpose of the resolution is. And also, we've run into some problems with whether the law itself means just the trash containers or whether it means the compactors too. So therefore, we need a little more, staff needs a little more time and probably some amendments to this to bring back to you, I think, in a different form that'll make it a little, not only a little more fair, but also take out some of the discretion which is within the bill itself and make it a little more specific as to what exactly we're covering, and if there are going to be waivers, under what circumstances the waivers should be tested, because that's the problem the Planning Commission was having. They didn't know what test they could apply to the granting of the waivers, hence they were not granting any waivers. So by bringing this back up, tabling it, then we don't have a date towards which we're working, but it allows us to provide, hopefully, some time to put together a committee to work on the language, to bring it back to the council, and hopefully get something that would be a little easier to enforce.
Okay, thank you. Council have any questions about what Mr. Manzi stated to us?
Mr. President,
Yes.
I don't necessarily have a question, but a comment. As representing the council on the Planning Commission, I can certainly tell you that, and as staff knows, the commission had been just swamped with waiver requests because it appeared that very few folks who were affected by this this resolution wanted to actually do the enclosures. So everyone was submitting requests for waivers. And that, with the Planning Commission wanting to make sure that they followed the letter of the resolution, caused a bit of consternation because wanting to do it and looking at what was submitted for waiver requests didn't match. And so that's why you got those large numbers of denials, because in the Planning Commission's mind, this just wasn't meeting the requirements to grant a waiver, many of them. So I'm really glad to see that we're reconsidering or considering reconsidering this resolution.
Okay, seeing no other comments, I'll ask for a motion to reconsider.
That'll be Monday night,
Monday night.
Mr. President.
Well, I know, but that's what I'm saying. I'll ask for that motion on Monday night. And I'm also going to ask Mr. Smalls to serve, if it passes, along with Mr. Les, to work with staff on this. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll go to item number 6, a draft ordinance to amend certain project budgets in the FY 2015 to FY 2020 capital improvements program.
Good evening.
All right.
Yeah, what we're proposing is a text amendment to PW 2-071 Cherry Lane improvements as listed in the CIP. Presently, it says the work for eastbound Cherry Lane. In late spring, early summer, we noticed that westbound Cherry Lane, just west of 4th Street, one of the storm water manholes started to settle. And we contacted PG County to see if there was a problem with the storm cells. They came back and says, no, there are no problems, so we would like to change this text so we can get an engineering company to come in and assess what's going on with this roadway and then have it repaired from 4th Street up to Ashford Boulevard.
Okay. Mr. Les?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. If in fact it is a stormwater problem, the county has to contribute some funds, correct?
That'd be correct. They're gonna have to fix what the problems are
Before we do whatever we're gonna do on the road surface
before we
and
do
the curb
anything.
and gutter and whatever. Okay, just wanna make sure.
Yes,
I love when the county has to contribute.
that's what we're trying to prove.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate that. That's it, Mr. President.
Ms.
Thank you.
Query?
So we called them up to have them look at it and told them there was a problem. And they said, no problem, correct?
That's
And
correct.
now we're gonna have to pay somebody professionally to come in and say, there is indeed a problem.
I don't know of any other way to do it, you know?
Yep, I understand. Thank you.
Ms. Nicholas?
No question.
Mr. Smalls?
I don't have any questions or comments.
Thank you, sir. Number 7, draft resolution to rescind that certain easement granted by the mayor and the city council of Laurel, Maryland, as contained in the deed of easement dated the 13th day of November of 1978, with Lucille Hull McCabe, her successors and assignees, as the purpose of the easement no longer exists, and the easement is revocable by the mayor and city council of Laurel. Mr. Lotsky. He's not.
Actually, it's me.
You.
I drafted it, so I'll take the heat. In 1978, the city entered into a revocable easement with Ms. McCabe, which has continued in effect up through today. It's an easement that allowed for a septic field to exist on city parkland, as well as a shed to remain on city parkland down by the Riverside Park. It is no longer necessary. The house is on public sewer and water, and the shed no longer exists. The city has actually has plans now to use a portion of the easement area for parking, for additional parking down there. And we have been in contact with the owners, the now owners of the property. They have removed a fence which was encroaching upon city property. We have given them a copy of a survey which basically has surveyed, or did they do the survey, Mike? We did the survey. So we've done the survey of their boundaries and our boundaries, so we now have what basically is agreed upon a boundary survey. So all we're doing now is cleaning up the title by revoking the easement so that we can take back our parkland.
Okay. Questions of the council? Mr. Liz?
Mr. President, Bob, we'll have to, there's an easement recorded in the county, is that correct?
Yes, there is.
Okay,
That's the
so-
LIBOR and folio number.
Yeah, I
that you
understand.
see
So we'll
there.
be responsible for filing the release
That's right.
once this is approved, is that correct?
That's correct. The easement itself calls for the council has to pass a resolution.
Right, I understand.
So,
And she will sign that, and then we'll go ahead and remove the easement, correct?
well, Ms. McCabe won't. It's the Caswells that own the
Right,
property
the people
now.
that own the property now,
Right,
okay.
yeah.
Real good, thanks.
Mhm.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Ms. Curry?
Yeah, no questions, no problem
Ms.
with this.
Nicholas? Mr. Small?
Mr. Manzi, what's the area, the size of the area we're talking about in this easement? Any
not-
idea?
Not very much. How much is it, Mike? Do you know?
Less than an acre.
Less
Oh,
than
yeah,
an
it's
acre?
much less than an acre. Yeah,
But it would,
Go in there.
it would
it's
add
really
a
less than a
few-
quarter acre. It's just, if you picture where you come in to the parking area as it stands now, it's basically the green space before you get to the parking spaces that's on the right side.
I see.
It's
Okay.
grassy right now,
Mike thinks you can-
and a little bit of it
Right.
up on the hill.
Perfect.
Okay. All we're talking about doing is really expanding the parking area down towards the entrance. And that's primarily where this property is. That's where the shed was
Okay.
in the past, so.
That'll be a good use of that space.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, that's all we have for this evening. I would note, though, for everybody to be aware of the fact that we've lost two Laurel citizens in the last couple of days. One's Dickie Smith, who's been around for a long time, and the other one's Mark, just want to blank, Sly. So we keep them in their prayers, and if you see their family or have an opportunity to go to the funeral home, I would really appreciate it. We send them our condolences. And thank you all for coming this evening. Be well.